Ladies and gentlemen, honored guests, welcome to our virtual and live welcome address of this year's LME Week. It goes without saying, we live in challenging times. Challenging times that force us to create new ideas, go new ways and find new solutions. We do all of this to keep our business running, to fulfill the needs of our customers and suppliers, as well as the society that we are living and working in. This is true for the more recent challenges, like the COVID implications. But it is also true for the more fundamental changes, like the need for sustainable business, but also the shift to become a more and more digitalized company. Let's stay with the COVID topic for a moment. Aurubis has maneuvered quite successfully through the rough seas of the last 6 months. This, thanks to our dedicated employees, good planning, and the implementation of strict measures. With all hands on deck, through our sound financial basis and our conservative approach, we maintained the same quality of service and support that you are used from us. And we fulfilled all our obligations. And even when times get rough, thanks to our close long-term partnerships, thanks to our many years of good cooperation with you, dear business partners, we always strive to find the best solution possible. That is what we mean by together with you. This is why, even in extraordinary times, we want to be your reliable partner of choice. And our over 150 years history has made us quite crisis-proof. One key success factor for Aurubis is stable, reliable operations and continuous improvements. Therefore, I'm happy to announce that Dr. Heiko Arnold has been strengthening our management team. He serves as new COO since August. Heiko previously had several management positions at BASF globally. Most recently as Vice President Operations, Technology and Investments Intermediates for the East Asian region based in Singapore. In this function, he was responsible for 11 production sites and 5 Asian joint ventures. In his 22 years in operations at an international chemical company, Heiko Arnold successfully implemented major investment projects and was responsible for continuous improvements in production processes on a global scale. Ladies and gentlemen, before we talk more about Aurubis, I like to leave the stage to Karel Golta. He is an entrepreneur, human-first advocate, and innovation steward as well as an author. He is also the founder of Simplexion, a company specializes in IoT and Industry 4.0 project management, and Indeed Innovation, a company for product and service innovations. Karel talks about circular innovation and why ketchup will not save the planet. Karel, the stage is yours.
Thank you. I have a very peculiar childhood memory, one I'm quite fond of, and I'm very sure you all have a similar one too. One that when a distinct smell hits your nose, you are immediately flashed back in time. Mine is at the public swimming pool in summertime. The smell of freshly fried French fries and ketchup. An epiphany of innocent joy. The outdoors, your best friends, having fun with a life where everything seems possible and no one dares to object you. What's yours? Ladies and gentlemen, dear audience, my name is Karel Golta. I'm a business romantic, as you can tell, and a design innovator. I perceive my entire life as a succession of public swimming pool, French fries, and ketchup moments. Born and raised in Switzerland, I got my degree in the US and had my very first job at a large multinational corporation translating military technology into consumer innovation. I even worked on the design of the very first MP3 player. Well, not the one you're just thinking about. Mine was a complete failure for the company, but other than that, I'm telling you, public swimming pool, French fries, ketchup. And yes, talking about ketchup, indeed, I even worked for Heinz, the largest and most famous ketchup brand. I developed their first head-down bottle. Yep, that one right here. And you know what? There it was again, right? This moment of swimming pool, French fries, and ketchup. But actually not quite. No doubt, a successful product, you can even call it a breakthrough innovation. But, you know what? For what? I became ever more aware of my legacy. I realized that innovation, just for the innovation's sake, is a hamster wheel. I mean, come on. And it can lead to a dead-end street. Creating cool products, services, is no longer enough when the world is on fire because of climate change, increasingly divided societies, also technology that is undermining our humanity instead of nurturing it. Innovation, as usual, is neither pragmatic nor socially conscious anymore, if it ever was. So the problem is not consumption per se. The problem is consumption with a winners-take-all mentality, capitalism without accountability. We are at a tipping point. Look at this, an ecological, an economic, a social tipping point. Business, as usual, is obsolete. Innovation, as usual, is obsolete. And ladies and gentlemen, it is urgent. What if we are the last generation that can save human mankind, our planet? Wouldn't it be up to us to deliver then the change? Whew, right? Now what? WTF? What the future? Well, I would like to offer you two distinctive solutions to reflect on in the coming minutes. And the first one starts with the change that we need in the economy, the linear economy that goes from take, waste directly, right? We use products, we put them to waste. But furthermore, we also have to go beyond the reuse economy because still it leaves us with too much trash at the end of every cycle. We need to go beyond that. We need to go to a circular economy, a system aimed at eliminating waste and the concept of it, and the continual use of resources. Now, you would ask me probably if there is a silver bullet for all of this. So probably not, but I might have a model that I'd like to introduce. It's called the Circular Horizon model. And it has a fundamental first axis right here. And that one describes what we have to do to actually do the best we can for the planet, to have the biggest impact for the planet. The second axis is the how, right? And the how is connected to how novel we can do things to actually achieve a trajectory that has impact. So as it goes with horizon models, we have to talk about the first horizon, right? And the first horizon is about to design everything we do, every product, every new service we come up with, that we design it for efficiency, to leave as little as possible emissions out there, to have the least bad impact, the best impact, if anything, on the planet. And I have an example for you. It's a New Zealand company called Allbirds that produces quite posh sneakers. And unlike the other two big manufacturers like Nike and Adidas, the CO2 footprint of these sneakers has been cut in half. Why? Because they, for example, use merino wool for the upper linings and the inner sole. They use sugar cane for the soles. And they use recycled PT for the lacelets. That's kind of neat, right? So you see, you can have less impact, substantially less impact for the good of the planet and still make business. Let's talk about the second horizon. And the second horizon is an important step because it is the first step to true circularity. It's the first loop that a company can do. And the great thing about this one is that you have to do it within your own company, across all the divisions and across the entire organization. Because only when you do that, you can actually build a beautiful circle, a first one. And a company that I would like to introduce you that you probably know, which is Philips, has just done this. They invented circular lighting, which in its basic is light as a service. Why? Because for businesses, for example, if you want to run a parking lot, or if you want to run your regular office building, they provide the entire 360-degree service of maintenance, installing, making sure the electricity is green, and you don't even have to worry about where it's coming from, right? And furthermore, once you don't need the lights anymore, they take them back. They don't put them to trash. They actually reuse them for the next project, for the next client. And if a light gets broken, no problems. They have reversed logistics. They can repair it, they can refurbish it, and if it really is broken, they recycle the tiny screws. Great, isn't it? Now let's go to the third horizon. The third horizon is when multiple of these companies that have their own loops join forces and build an ecosystem of interfering loops. That's the circular economy. And of course, it will have the biggest impact possible. At the same time, it requires novelty, not only by individuals and by businesses, but also, of course, by governments, by politics, legislation. Now for this, I have a beautiful example, although it starts with a reality check. We know in the media right now, lots of people are talking about hospitals. What you might not have known or are not aware of, every single hospital bed creates 2.6 tons of waste every year and 300 kilograms of biohazardous waste. Now, I hope you all agree, biohazardous waste, we definitely want to put that to trash, to fire. We don't want to carry that on and recycle it somehow. So what if we then would actually start burning the trash right there on premise at the hospital, using the energy coming out to either cool it or heat it up right there? And then what if we would capture the CO2 filtering out of the chimney and actually then producing monomers by going through a cycle of photosynthesis? Because let's not forget chemistry, CO2 is nothing else than coal and oxygen put together. So you can separate it again. And if you do that, you can even gain, through polymerization, polymers, which in essential is plastics, which you then can feed back into the loop of manufacturing. And what do you get? A beautiful circle with multiple companies working on this beautiful assignment. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is the circular horizon model, but it's theory, it's a plan, right? And I personally like to cite a big sportsman when it comes to reality, a box champion, you all know. It's the guy right down here. It's Mike Tyson. And he once said, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Now the reality is, we humans are the punch in the face of the planet. We just do not behave how we should under the current conditions, but without changing our behavior. I ask you all, what will change? And wouldn't it be great if we had conscious product and service innovations that, let's say, measurably improve the behaviors of humans and businesses towards sustainability? What if it just comes by nature that products make you act better? Now here comes the exciting field of behavioral design into play. My second solution I have to offer to you to reflect on. Behavioral design is a systemic and systematic approach that uses behavioral research theories to explain how design can direct, change, and influence people's behavior and decisions. Quite a cool topic, by the way, and it comprises a so-called behavioral wheel, okay? And that one has 3 layers that I'd like to introduce you to. This is the first layer right here. And it describes the sources of human behaviors. And they're defined by the capabilities, the opportunities, and the motivations we humans have. The second circle around it is a specific layer called the intervention functions. And there are 9 of. With these intervention functions, you can influence human behavior. So the 3 behaviors we just have seen before, or you see here, right? You can influence them by this second circle with the 9 interventions. Education, we all know, of course. Persuasion, you all have it on your mobile phone when you game it, right? Incentivization, coercion, training, enablement, even environmental restructuring can help you to influence behaviors of humans. Now comes the third and the last layer of the behavioral change wheel, which is described by the 7 policy categories. And these are the force for making actual change happen. Okay? Now these 3 things together build a system. And you know, the policy interventions and categories, you all know, because once a year, whether you're a business or private person, we have the fiscal measures. That means you have to pay taxes, right? But we have also guidelines, legislation, regulations, and more that influences that. Now you all go, ooh, it's Monday, just after lunch, right? Kind of a hefty topic. Don't bother, I'll have some cool examples for you. The first one has to do with lunch. Now, if you have ever wondered why they put at your company's canteen food court the salad right in the middle, don't wonder anymore. It's very simple. Your employer wants you to be healthy and not fall into coma after lunch. So therefore, he puts the salad, the greens in the middle. So when you walk around, you cannot pass them. And you will be thinking, should I go for French fries or the greens? Well, that's the first example. I have another one, and you'll see that is a beautiful, romantic one. If you don't know, Palau is a Southeast Asian island, and when their citizens want to leave the country and go to another place, they have to apply for a passport, and before they actually get it, they have to sign it. Well, that's kind of obvious, right? But here, right here, there's something very peculiar written. It states before you sign that the only footprints I shall leave are those that will wash away. Now you tell me, how cool is that, right? Let's go a little bit more technical. This one here is from the large insurance company Allianz in Germany, right? So they have created a cute little IoT device, right? Let me see, over here, that you put in a cigarette lighter, it hooks up to your cell phone, and then for the young drivers, the beginning drivers, it measures and records every little movement. Acceleration, braking, turning at the light, speeding, everything. And all the data is being reverted to the driver, stating whether it's green, well done, or red, whoa. And therefore, the insurance fees rise or they get lowered. A great way how you can incentivize different behavior. My last examples, ladies and gentlemen, is a typical example we probably forgot about, that it changed part of our life. Remember 20 years ago when you were able to smoke pretty much anywhere, any place, even in the airplane? I know, we all forgot about that, didn't we? It's crazy. 10 years later, you weren't allowed to smoke anywhere. And today, well, today for us it's normal. If someone would start smoking in a restaurant, ooh, I don't think that guy would, survive. So that's the last example on that one. And it shows we can change. Let's circle back to the beginning and close the loop. Dear audience, like myself, you had your swimming pool, French fries, ketchup moments. But let me ask you, what is the swimming pool, French fries, ketchup experience of the next generation? Is there one at all? What future innovation will be pivotal for them? So I hope you agree with me that next generation innovation should be all for the next generation. So if you want to build a better, a more beautiful tomorrow with a circular economy, then I think we need to recode innovation to become humane innovation in order to improve the behaviors of people and businesses towards a better future for all life on Earth. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Karl, for the inspiring speech.
It was my pleasure. Thank you.
Welcome. As you described as well, circular economy is core for the society, core to our customers, and core to Aurubis. Therefore, we need this chance towards a more sustainable industry. Dear guests, due to the well-known circumstances, we unfortunately can't travel to London and meet in person today. But we are excited to take you on a different journey, to show you what kept us busy in 2020, what we achieved in line with our strategy, and how we access the market. Today, I'm staying here in Hamburg in the Alte Schlosserei, in our live event, in our hall in Hamburg, where our group headquarters and one of our primary smelters are located. I'm also, as you can see on the picture, less than 5 kilometers away from the city hall of the city of 2 million inhabitants in the heart of Europe. If you run an industrial production here, you need to go the extra mile when it comes to environmental protection measures and transparency. In line with our sustainability strategy, we are investing continuously in environmental facilities at all our sites. And we are fully transparent when it comes to sustainability. We are proud that the results of several external rating agencies like CDP, MSCI, and EcoVadis reflect our efforts impressively. But ultimately, our everyday goal is to be the sustainable partner for all materials of our suppliers and customers. Here in Hamburg, we are focusing on reducing diffused emissions with our RDE project. In particular, we will reduce dust emissions. The picture in the background, I just moved to the other side, illustrates the project, and it's a planned investment of around 100 million euros over the next 2 years, and will mainly flow into extraction and filter systems at the primary smelter. When these investments are fully implemented, we will reduce the fugitive emissions by more than 70%. Another good example that has gained a lot of public attention and has won several awards is our industrial heating project in Hamburg. Here, we provide waste heat from our processes that we otherwise can't efficiently use in the production. In the first step, we are heating the new city district, Hamburg Hafen City, and we save around 20,000 tons of CO2 each year. And we can do more. The complete project, which has a phase 2 and phase 3, will save up to 140,000 tons of CO2 every year. We are working very closely with the city of Hamburg to leverage this potential. We are also currently investigating how even more fossil fuels can be replaced with the use of hydrogen to treat metal in our anode furnace, for example, but also implement heat recovery systems and install additional renewable energy equipment to produce our own electricity. With these innovative examples, we show how industry can, or better, must be part of the solution to climate change. And sustainability aspect also drives other Aurubis sites. Welcome to Prodop, home of our second primary smelter. So now we are flying. Here we are in Prodop. In this site, we are well on our way to obtain the copper mark. As most of you are aware, the copper mark is a new assurance framework for the copper industry. It proves that copper has been produced responsibly throughout the value chain. It is based on the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. We, as Aurubis, we fully support the idea of the copper mark. It's consistent with our company's values of acting and working responsibly. In addition, expectations are growing in the political world, in the business community, and in the society for being able to certify responsible production, including the copper industry. While we already fulfill since many years the international standards that apply to gold and silver for the responsible production of raw materials, so far nothing comparable has existed for copper production. Therefore, the copper mark closes an important gap, and we hope that our participation will continue the cascading effect on the industry. Another future project on our Perdop site worth mentioning is the development of the biggest photovoltaic plant for internal electricity consumption in Bulgaria. We will place it on this spot here, which is an empty space which belongs to Aurubis, and we will install a photovoltaic system with a peak power of 10 megawatt, and it is expected to produce in a 15-year period more than 170,000 megawatt hours. So a significant producer of electricity for our own production, which represents, because we are energy intensive, represents 2.5% of our annual electricity consumption and will save around 8,000 tons of CO2 emissions every year. Now, let's turn the spotlight to recycling. We are flying now back to Belgium. Welcome to Berze. Welcome to the Metallo Group. As you all aware, we recently acquired and closed the deal with the Belgian-Spanish company Metallo. Together with Metallo, we will process about 1 million tons of recycling materials annually in the future. But the merger is not only about contributing to our growth story, it's also a key milestone in the implementation of our multi-metal and recycling strategy. The company specializes in processing recycling materials with low metal contents, with a focus on tin, lead, nickel, zinc, and copper. The first metals were not as strong in the Aurubis portfolio before, so it's a strong complementary addition to our portfolio. With Metallo, as part of Aurubis, we want to continue processing all of the input materials into valuable products, making an important sustainability contribution as one company. We will integrate the two production sites of Metallo to form an integrated, optimized production network out of our 5 main plants. Our stated goal: to be recognized as one of the most efficient and sustainable smelter networks in the world. In the process, Aurubis pursues a clear growth strategy whose objectives is to boost efficiency while improving sustainability at the same time. At Aurubis, this isn't a contradiction, but our day-to-day reality. Economic efficiency and ecological and social responsibility go hand in hand, a principle that also applies to our financing. Therefore, it was a matter of course for us to finance the deal by issuing an ESG-linked, in German, Schuldschein loan. Its conditions are dependent on our ongoing sustainability achievements. But the Metallo-Aurubis merger isn't just a very positive move for the two companies. It's also great news for the recycling industry and for Europe. The add-on of Metallo's technologies and expertise, those of Aurubis, will allow us to treat an even higher volume of complex input materials. As a result, we will return even more base metals to the industry in Europe, which, as we know, has an increasing demand with all the change to renewable energies. Recycling, and we heard this from Karel, is crucial for circular economy and for a sustainable society. And furthermore, it's an attractive global growth market. Together, we will continue to expand our capabilities and capacities for recycling of important industrial and precious metal. We make, with this, a meaningful contribution to strengthening the circular economy. Certainly, no speech would be complete in our industry without a brief talk about some regulatory topics. And where better can we do this than in Brussels? Let's fly to Brussels, which is close. So you see, it's just a little hub. I just talked about the circular economy. From our point of view, the circular economy is one important way forward in securing access to sustainable raw materials, especially here in Europe. As I mentioned, we at Aurubis will build the necessary recycling capabilities in the European Union, and we plan to expand these capabilities and technologies outside of Europe. With this we foster a circular economy of complex products like electronics, electric vehicles, and also renewable energy equipment in the widest sense. In this context, Aurubis fully supports the European Raw Material Alliance. We have already submitted concrete proposals for improving raw material security and supply in Europe. If we are producing in Europe, one topic is here to stay: energy and the associated CO2 emissions. We at Aurubis are committed to reducing greenhouse gas emissions in accordance with the Paris Climate Agreement. We support the goal of the European Union to become climate neutral by 2050. I'm personally also convinced that we have to make our production as climate neutral as possible and as soon as possible. Now comes the but. An agreed goal is one thing, implementation is the other. We are currently living in a phase of uncertainty. Uncertainty, as we all face every day, is poison to decide large investments. Investments that will influence our profitability for decades to come. So, policymakers must create the right long-term conditions for green energy, either electricity or hydrogen, so that we can accelerate our decarbonization path while remaining competitive and profitable. One sword of Damocles passed by in September, fortunately. The European Commission adopted revised EU emission trading system state aid guidelines, ETS. The ETS guidelines aim at reducing the risk of carbon leakage, where companies move production to countries outside the EU, to regions with less ambitious climate policies. After intensive talks during the last 3 years, copper production has been re-included in the list of sectors eligible for compensation once again. A very, very important milestone for the whole copper industry and specifically also for Aurubis as a highly energy intensive and electricity consuming company. Politics is only one side of the coin. A sustainable future will only be achieved if the whole value chain works together. And this starts with a fair participation model, which means everybody in the value chain receives the appropriate compensation for their contribution, meaning the development of new environmental, social and governance requirements make it increasingly difficult to operate a smelter at low TC/RC levels that are not fair nor sustainable. Penalty terms that are at least 30 years old need to be adapted to new realities in the quality of concentrate. And the downstream industry has to be involved in the equation too. For example, when it comes to product recycling, to product design to enable recycling. We need more recycling-friendly products in the future to ensure the closing the loop and the circular economy. The next stop of our journey, we go back to Germany, is Berlin. So what do we do in Berlin? Policy, we would think, but it's a different topic. We would like to talk about Aceti, and herefore I would like to hand over to Markus Sassenrath. In addition to overseeing our IT department, Markus is also responsible for driving our digitalization activity forward. So, a warm welcome to Markus.
Thank you. A warm welcome from my side as well, ladies and gentlemen. For many of you, it may seem a bit unusual for a company's IT specialist to speak at an event like this. But the digitalization will increasingly become a success factor in the future. Mainly because we want to expand the digitalization of our production significantly. We see this as essential necessity for cutting costs, increasing added value, and improving environmental protection. Let's start by introducing you to Aceti. Aceti develops and markets an industrial Internet of Things IIoT platform that integrates and evaluates production data. The platform has been implemented in several industrial companies worldwide and is able to bring together large volumes of data from highly diverse sources simply and quickly. This allows previously undiscovered optimization potential to be identified and utilized. Aurubis acquired this company this year, and we are confident that it will be able to make production processes in metal production and recycling much more flexible, transparent, and efficient. But with the acquisition, we are not only securing an ideal platform to help us digitalize production processes, we are also acquiring the expertise and resources to pursue a new digital path in other areas as well. Despite its inclusion in the new Aurubis digital organization, Azeti will be managed as an independent company. It will continue to support its existing customers, and certainly it is open for new ones. Digitalization is a key part of Aurubis' corporate strategy. Digitalizing production processes will enable us to make operations more flexible, to optimize shutdown planning, to reduce maintenance efforts, and to process raw materials even more efficiently. Furthermore, it allows us to make an additional contribution to sustainability and environmental protection. Another thing on our list is the Aurubis Digital Innovation Lab, which we started in September. There we develop digital innovations for our customers. Both the Innovation Lab as well as Azeti will be supported by our Analytics Center of Excellence, in which we are already analyzing large volumes of data, develop intelligent learning algorithms, and make the information available to many areas of our company. And with this, let's see what else Aurubis offers its partners.
Okay. Thank you, Markus. Thanks for a bit of a, let's say, introduction to the changes we are doing in our IT landscape and what I think surprising acquisition we have done, let's say, at least from looking at the history we have done with Azeti. Next stop, we move on. It's a big journey. Next stop on our journey is South America. As you know, we source metal concentrates from our global network of over 30 mining partners and also important traders. The independence and flexibility of the setup allows Aurubis to create an optimal input mix of standard and complex raw materials for its production facilities. And we are therefore focusing on our core expertise. Thanks to our integrated smelter network, we can process complex concentrates, optimize our concentrate mixes. Hence, we enable our mining partners to unlock the value of their complex metal concentrates. This expertise makes Aurubis an in-demand partner for developing specific answers to the needs of the mining industry. For instance, when it comes to concentrate quality. But Aurubis, we also offer solutions for our mine partners when it comes to financing. 2 examples. We entered into a long-term supply contract in open-pit copper project Quebrada Blanca in phase 2 in Chile. The contract was supported by the involvement of the German state-owned KfW IPEX Bank, which arranged a so-called untied loan to finance the project for the mine. One important condition, of course, is for granting this type of attractive loan is a long-term supply contract with a German company, in this case Aurubis. Another example for Peru is the Mina Justa project that is targeted to ramp up through 2021, so just around the corner. And here we were also able to contribute to the financing with an untied loan and the involvement of the KfW IPEX Bank. We are committed to our long-term partnerships and favor mine partners that demonstrate the same dedication to sustainability in their downstream value chain as we do. Sustainability is not only a topic of environmental protection and social responsibility, it also means that we value partners who have a long-term view and are not only seeking to maximize short-term margins. For example, in Peru and Chile, we support different social projects. a school sponsorship and a water project in Peru, and the establishment of a dual vocational training system based on the German model in Chile. Here, skilled workers are trained in sustainable resource use in agriculture. Our aim is to establish a practice-oriented training program that is geared to the needs of the agricultural sector. Of course, we know there is always more to do. I know that our social commitment, whether in South America or Europe, has a positive effect on sustainable development in these areas. But ultimately, it also strengthens our relationship with the local populations and also the local authorities. With this, I hand over to Michael Hellemann, our new head of commercial, who will comment on our views on the market. Michael, please.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I would also like to give you a very warm welcome to this event. Thank you for you having chosen to spend this hour with us here at this live event. That is very much appreciated. My name is Michael Hellemann Sørensen, and as you may or may not be able to hear from my name, I come from Denmark, and I have joined Aurubis in the beginning of August this year. My title is Senior Vice President Commercial, and that means that I'm responsible for our raw material procurement, for sales, and for marketing. Before joining Aurubis, I worked a number of years in the chemical industry, most recently as head of sales and market development at Covestro. And prior to that, I was the Chief Procurement Officer at Biomaterial Science. I've also spent 15 years in the pharma industry, so what you may be able to hear is that I have tried a few things in different industries, and my background is really both within procurement and sales. That's why I'm really excited about joining Aurubis, which I'm really both excited and humbled about. I'm looking very much forward to be working with the commercial team here on continuing that very good path they have already undertaken. On my personal agenda are three things I think and hope I will bring to the table here. That is an additional focus on sustainability, on digitalization, and on highly ambitious business goals. Excuse me. These three elements we can only achieve by very close and good cooperation with our long-term business partners, both suppliers and customers. Many of you have never met me before, but I know that I will have the opportunity to have many virtual interactions this week and the next week, and I'm really looking very much forward to that. Let us take a brief look at how we're looking at the global markets today. Due to the COVID-19 crisis, we have seen a lot of uncertainty. We are all plagued by that, and we are living it every day. In addition to this pandemic, we also see that the tendencies towards political polarization, geopolitical tensions persist in many of our geographies, and that impacts us all as well. These tendencies and uncertainties have undermined the consumers and the market sentiment. In an effort to drag the economies out of recession, we luckily see many governments having issued record-breaking stimulus packages aimed at saving jobs in the countries, but also stimulating consumption. We also see that the central banks having relaxed their monetary policies. Because of these things, we actually mean that the copper market's underlying fundamentals will remain very strong, and that the high copper price levels we're seeing at the moment will boost the mine production and even incentivize new projects. That's what we hear in the market. That's what we see on our numbers as well. Despite the COVID implications, you have already heard that from Roland Harings, we have managed pretty well through the pandemic. We are very pleased and proud about that. And the fact that we have been able to maintain our production levels and services is due to our colleagues that has been running our sites, but also that we see a very good and solid supply situation on the concentrate market. The increase in production levels at the major mines shows this, and we believe that that'll be even stronger in 2021 when we are seeing new projects ramping up. We are thankful to our suppliers for the close collaboration, and we will promise that we will steadfast continue to be strong and a reliable long-term partner for you. On the cathode side, we did certainly experience some challenges in the beginning of the year. We are pleased to see that industrial activities are picking up again. They're bouncing back after some corona-related lockdowns. And in recent months, we have even seen a good recovery in European demand as well. We are thoroughly and strongly convinced that this will accelerate further in 2021 and the future, also driven by Europe's green agenda. This outlook stands perhaps a little bit in contrast to the current low spot TCRC levels. We believe that several custom smelters supposedly are operating near or below net cash cost levels. That's why we also believe that many of the current TCRCs are not driven by the normal supply-demand balance, but more by tactical and political considerations. We believe that this is not sustainable. What you will see is that we will argue for a more reasonable level of TCRCs so we together can continue the positive development of our industry. The European recycling market, in contrast, is developing well. We did see a notable dip during the peak time of COVID in the spring. Copper scrap was generally satisfactory, the levels in Europe, and with good to high refining charges. We do expect a positive ongoing development on the scrap market, but it still remains to be seen how much of an impact the Chinese import regulations for high-grade copper will have once implemented, and that is expected to happen in the autumn this year. Excuse me. In the refined markets and products, we expect the situation to further stabilize in the coming year. We continue to do our absolute utmost to make sure that our customers see us standing solid through these uncertain times. After the dip in demand in the first half of 2020, we expect copper demand to continue its good current development. It'll be driven by three things: healthy demand in China, an expected rebound of the economy in general in 2021, and all the worldwide stimulus packages we see. Plus the fact that we see a multi-year low inventory levels at the LME warehouses, lower than we historically have known. This is also why, because of these things, that we announced Thursday morning last week that we keep the ACP, the Aurubis copper price, stable at $96. Thank you, looking forward to meeting you all, and back to you, Roland.
Okay, thank you, Michael. Thanks. And again, from my side, a warm welcome to Michael, to our Aurubis team. Ladies and gentlemen, honored guests, our today's journey now comes to an end. I hope you enjoyed the short update. We would be very happy to welcome you again in person next year in London, and I think we all share the hope that we have vaccination and this COVID days will be behind us. You see in the background the nice location that we had last year, and I'm sure in the near future we are able to turn back to more personal meetings and not just communicate via virtual and camera systems. I know that our commercial team is at your service and is happy to stay in touch with you via video conferencing, especially also in this week, which is a week of speed dating in London. Typically, now it's a virtual speed dating event. I have seen their agendas and I've recognized that there is an intensive exchange with all our valued business partners during this week. And again, I would like you to thank for the business and for being our business partners. And again, looking forward to seeing you soon in person and also to working with you in the future. Today, we have a special situation also here in Hamburg, as we showing here live in Hamburg, this event. And the very, let's say, known Elbphilharmonie, I'm sure some of you had the pleasure to listen to some concerts, has been closed for months and months, which is a real pity for the city. However, there has been a very special event, and in this Elbphilharmonie, which is only, by the way, 4 kilometers away, we have recorded a special event which I'm going to share with you. So please, thanks for participating. Please stay healthy. Enjoy the rest of the LME week. And, which is a hint to what is coming now, always look on the bright side of life. Thank you very much. Goodbye.